This is Brian Mazik, the feature columnist for BleacherReport.com, aka Franchise Play, aka the Big Numbers Guy. And this is the third draft class update for NBA 2K14, PlayStation 4 only. Again, sorry Xbox One users. This is Aaron Gordon. So I've done actually 6 guys. This is the 7th that you're seeing here. And we got Aaron Gordon of Arizona. Unfortunately for Arizona fans, they took their first loss of the season this weekend, so they're no longer undefeated, but still obviously one of the best teams in the nation. Aaron Gordon is a big reason for that. Now, you saw the overall rating, and some Arizona fans are probably going to be upset about that, but if you look at Aaron Gordon right now, he is still pretty raw on the offensive end. Doesn't have a lot of, he has a lot of a nice foundation for what can be built upon, but he doesn't have a lot developed in regards to his offensive game just yet. He's a freakish athlete though, awesome athlete, so that the base is certainly there. In a perfect world, in terms of, you know, from a basketball development standpoint, he would probably stay in at least another year, but because of his team success, and also because of, you know, the type of potential that he has, and you see the potential rating there, which probably maybe should even be a little bit higher than 88, probably should be like 92, 93. I may even adjust that in a future update. Because of that, he is probably going to come out. He's projected as a first-round pick in pretty much every mock draft you'll see. Had to give him the posterizer signature skill because he is a ridiculous leaper. Gets up in the air awesomely. It has pretty good size for a forward position. He might be a little short though for power forward, which is another thing. He would if he can develop a little bit more ball handling and a little bit better consistent outside shot. I think he has the ability to do that, but he needs to get more consistent with his outside shot. If he can do that and then be able to play the small forward position, his stock is going to go through the roof, and his overall, the projection of him as an actual overall player is going to get just that much better. I like his game a lot, but any team that drafts him in the first round is probably looking at a good 2 to 3 years before you're really going to see him really take off, because as of right now, he's going to just be a athlete, slasher, hard-working guy on defense, and that's cool. The league obviously has room for guys like that, but when you look at his talent level, the ceiling is actually higher, and you just worry if he comes out too early if he'll ever get to that ceiling. But we may have to find out anyway. So you're looking at some of the signature moves that I gave Aaron Gordon. Keep the cross most of the time with the big guys, unless it's a extraordinarily, you know, great ball handling big guy. You might see a little bit more of a fancy crossover when I get to Kyle Anderson, even though he's not going to be all that fast, but the ball handling will be there. Tried to give Aaron Gordon a nice selection of slams because he can definitely get up. So that's Aaron Gordon. Next up, I believe that's me. No, that's Symphony. This is Noah Vonleh from Indiana. Indiana is actually fallen out of the rankings. As of the time that I'm actually recording this video, they were in a pretty good dogfight with Michigan, who has jumped all the way up to number 10 in the nation. So we'll see how that one works out. But this is Noah Vonleh, power forward center, ridiculous wingspan, which is why I gave him an 84 wingspan. He has a 7'4" wingspan. I could make the argument that it should even be longer than 84, but I didn't want to have him literally tying his shoes without bending down, so I just figured we stop at 84. But Vonleh has a very nice skill set. I really like his passing ability from the high post, and I also like his back to the basket moves. I have a feeling that by the end of the season, he may have pulled himself into maybe a top 5 pick. I know this draft is stacked, but we're talking about a big guy, a young big guy with ridiculous wingspan, a good work ethic, and he has a back to the basket game that is so rare. And he's a better than average. He's not a freak athlete, but he's a better than average athlete. That's so rare, and we all know size still wins out most times. So I don't know. I think that he might push himself up past Julius Randle by the time this is all done, because Randle's struggling a little bit, and I may even revisit his ratings later in another update, drop him down a couple notches, because as he's entered conference play, playing against the SEC teams, he's not dominating the way he was when he was playing the Belmonts of the world. So we'll see how that goes moving forward. But I really like Vonleh. I think I'm saying that right, but I'm pretty sure. I think that's what it is. But I really like him. I first saw him in high school, his senior year. There were a couple like all-star games or workouts and scouting reports that were done on him. I wasn't all that impressed at first, I'll be honest. But as I've watched him get better during this season, I'm really liking what I'm seeing. Now, in case there's guys that you're wondering, are they coming or am I doing it? Unless the guy's like a fringe late second rounder or something like that, yes, definitely that the guy is going to be added to the draft class. See a lot of names being thrown out there in the comment section, but yes, they are coming. Yogi Ferrell and more likely, I don't know. I have to check and see what the standing is on him, whether or not we think he's gonna. If the thought is that he's gonna enter the draft or not, he probably needs another year. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, this is Noah Vonleh. Let's get into some of the signature stuff. Like I said, he's not a ridiculous athlete, but he's a good enough athlete, especially with the size combination that he has. And I really like the offense, his offensive tools, the high post, as well as his shooting touch. So, like I said, we'll see what goes on. When March rolls around, you're really going to start to see some guys make some moves in regards to up and down the draft board, because you know the talent prognosticators tend to overreact a bit to what goes on in the tournament, you know. So sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. The last guy in the update today is Willie Cauley-Stein. We did the best we could with the face on Willie Cauley-Stein. They don't have anybody in here with like blonde hair, so we'll see how that works out. And we also tried to get the accessories right. Probably the leg sleeve you wear is probably not quite that long. I think there's a little bit more space between the bottom of the leg sleeve and the sock, but we did the best we could with this. Now, Willie Cauley-Stein is, I had to change some of this. I don't know what happened there, but at this point, he is a athlete, shot blocker, rebounder. That's it. He offensively, he would be lucky to get in, you know, to average 6, 7 points a game in the NBA at this point, and all of that will come on just running the floor, offensive rebounds, kind of a thing. He doesn't have any sort of back to the basket game, not one that's going to translate to the NBA. You see a guy score on the block a few times here and there, surely off size in college. That does not mean that they're going to have a effective back to the basket game in the NBA. Generally your game needs to have a little bit of complexity to it on the post in college if it's going to translate to the NBA. Stein doesn't have that. Cauley-Stein doesn't have that. If he had a little bit more of a touch on a jump shot, maybe. But he is a great athlete. He's a very good athlete. He's also very thin. I was probably generous by giving him a strength rating of a 50, but he's very thin. But he does deserve the signature skill of a racer, because he's a very good shot blocker. Right now, if you ask me who he reminded me of, I'd say maybe a slightly more athletic Ryan Hollins would be his like basement. If you're looking for his ceiling, I would say Tyson Chandler. That's his ceiling. If you were to say if Willie Cauley-Stein is the best player he can be, if he maxes out what he has, I think you could be looking at Tyson Chandler. I'll probably do a basement ceiling for like everybody that that I put in the game. For Noah Vonleh, I'd have to probably think about that. One of the first things that comes to my mind on him is like a less athletic. Now keep in mind I said less athletic, which is kind of a big deal part of this, but a less athletic Antonio McDyess. McDyess was, before he got older and the back and knee problems started, he was a big time athlete. Coming straight out of Alabama, he was in Denver and Phoenix, he was a big time athlete. If you just remember the latter stages of his career, then you don't really remember that, but he had bounce early on. So Vonleh, I think, could be that type of a player. And the first guy, Aaron Gordon, that we saw, if you max him out, totally max him out, like best case scenario, and I even hesitate to say this, but best case scenario is somebody obviously like Blake Griffin, a little smaller though, because I think he's a little smaller than Blake Griffin, but that's a max, and I really don't think he's going to get that high, but he's a better defender than Blake. He's a better defender than Blake, but he's not as good a passer, not as good of a ball handler, and not quite as strong as Blake, but some of the similarities with the explosion are there. So that's that. And then of course, you can do that with pretty much every player, and I'll probably do that moving forward. But this is update 3. Y'all stay tuned for more. Subscribe, follow. Peace.